Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today I want to do something a little special, a little different. I want to do my first official review, a non-scripted review, so to speak. I want to hit the points and everything like that, but I want to be real with you. I want to be in the moment with you and go off of my personal experience for this game. From the thumbnail, I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now, before we get into it, like I said, I want to let you know just up front, this is non-scripted. I do have notes, but this is me going off the cuff because I want to be as personable as I can possibly be in regards to this game. So follow along here if you would like, and if you have yet to check out my previous Let's Play videos of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, where I did finish the game, I did platinum the game, so I felt like I had quite a bit of experience to warrant an official review, so I wanted to give something special for everybody here for Saturday, all right? So enjoy, and let's go ahead and jump to it. Right, so we're back at it here with the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart review. And again, just my hands-on experience. I did have a ton of time with this game. I did go through it a lot sooner and quicker than I would like. I like to marinate the games and not really go through it so quick, but I felt like everybody was going through this game so quick. I actually did finish this, a week ago? But I do like things to kind of marinate. So just as another piece of experience on my end here, and from me playing games since I was, age 3, believe it or not, we had games back then. Yeah, so ultimately, I find myself when I finish a game, I have to marinate it because you have a difference of opinion, and I feel like it has almost like a biasness, whether it's a positive or a negative thing. You have a biasness towards that review of the game, whether you loved it or didn't like it or in the middle. I think sometimes it takes a few days to let that digest, let that marinate, and really get your feelings out there for if you really did like the game as much as you did, or if you really didn't like the game as much as you did, or how you truly felt about it. So my big compass, my big moral compass type of thing is ultimately I want to see how I feel after a while. So I think this is a perfect time to have a real honest opinion about my Ratchet and Clank review here, okay? So let's go ahead and jump into the section here, and we're just gonna go right into the opening here of what I thought right off the bat. And this is a true next-gen game. I will say that at the very most, and I'm sure you've heard this already, but it is a true next-gen game. It is $70, so in my opinion, if you're paying $70 for a game, it better bring the goods, and it better give you something to be like, wow, this game really warrants AAA, and it really warrants a next generation feel and aesthetic to it with all the bells and whistles. So I will tell you right away with just moments, and you can check out the gameplay part 1 if you'd like. I literally just kind of wanted to sit there and look at everything because I didn't truly feel like that it was real. Like, this is my first experience trying a new next-gen game. Like, Demon's Souls was fantastic, Spider-Man Miles Morales was fantastic, but, as time goes on and they're really starting to take more and more advantage of the new hardware for the new systems of the Series X and the PlayStation 5 and stuff, it really gives them time, the developers, to really bring out some true potential on these future games, and we're just starting to scratch the surface of next-gen here, and this is a prime example. So I was very floored. I was just right away blown away with just how good it looked with the ray tracing, with the 60 frames per second performance mode, with just how the light reflections on everything just truly shone and shined, and the voice acting, and just how the fur was. I mean, if you go into photo mode in this game, every intricate fur piece, and you can see it blown in the wind even out, not in photo mode, but if you zoomed in, they took their time. You could see little divots in the nose, and like I said, the fur, the reflection in his eyes and everything like that. This is really just a true to form piece of art here, in my opinion. So I just kind of wanted to give you my initial wow factor. It really had that for me. It was really great, and it was great to experience Ratchet and Clank in that aspect. So to piggyback off of that, we're going to go over the lore and story section of this, really. And if you are familiar with any Ratchet and Clank game that you have played before, whether it was the original on the PlayStation 2 or just now in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, or you played some offshoots such as Agent Clank on the PlayStation Portable, or if you played All for One, which was the first co-op Ratchet and Clank game, and I think the only one ever, aside for some online stuff. But, that was really a great series. And this lore, now, do you need to be super familiarized with the lore and backstory of Ratchet and Clank to enjoy this game? No. I think this will really bring out the story on its own. It'll bring out some of the lore on its own, and it touches base a little bit from the past of what maybe Ratchet and Clank have experienced. But I will tell you, to have the full effect, you will want to have played the previous Ratchet and Clank games. It's going to give you that much more nostalgic factor. It's going to give you that much more of a backstory. It's going to be that much more to pull you into the game itself. So I really think it's something special. If you do have the time, or at the very least, you can replay the PlayStation 4 version of 2016's reboot of Ratchet and Clank. They did a phenomenal job there with the remake. I think if you do that at the very least, that'd be great. If you could also do Ratchet and Clank the Future series and stuff like that, I think that also helps when they're talking about Ratchet and him trying to find other species if he's the only one, this and that. So it's really a heartwarming story. Like I mentioned in a previous video or even my Let's Plays, the other reviewers out there said that the story itself, and I was going to be honest with you, they said that the story itself was going to be a little more hitting you over the head, kind of almost kid-like, and I know we get it. It really didn't. Honestly, it didn't. Now, is it like as deep as some from The Last of Us or Final Fantasy or any other really in-depth story of true to form, this and that? No, but it really is a great story. It's something you can get out of a Pixar storyboard, right? I mean, you're going to have your things. Did it really tug at my heartstrings hardcore? No, but maybe it's because I'm getting older and it doesn't as much or something like that. But it has moments where it kind of does, and you get it. And, you felt like, yeah, they can go deeper. But this is a 3D platformer. I don't think the story is ever going to be the prime focus, just like a Mario game or Rayman or anything like that. You have a story there and you have this and that. But this is probably one of the, aside from like Legend of Zelda, that probably has more lore and everything to it. But still, I think this has just about the same type of lore to the franchise as those games do have. And so that's a testament on its own, honestly. But yeah, you just not giving away. I don't want to make it spoilery. So if you didn't check the Let's Plays and stuff like that of mine or any other reviews that were spoilerish or anything like that, I will remain this to be a spoiler-free review, just an FYI. But just lightly touching, as you can see in the opening sequences and everything else, they get into some trouble there. Clank does come up with a dimensional type of weapon or tool that gets you through other dimensions and such like that in order to help Ratchet maybe find some more of his family or other species and such like that, and try and just really doing this heartfelt thing, because he knows deep down Ratchet has always been that person that really wanted to find somebody else. And he has had a touch of experience in the past. That's why I bring up the other games. So maybe if you touch up on those games, you'll get a little more out of this. So it starts with that, and just everything kind of goes haywire. So yeah, you end up in different dimensions and stuff like that. And then we end up meeting another Lombax called Rivet. And she is also, to her, acknowledgement of herself, she's the only species of her own. So Ratchet is a new, companion or person that she finally gets to meet. That's another true Lombax, her first one that she has ever met. So it just has a lot to bring together. The story is really well done. It takes place right in the beginning of hey, we're celebrating Ratchet and Clank, everything they've done to save the galaxy, to save this, to save that. And they're celebrating them, and then just everything starts rolling from there. And you get the story progressing more and more, and this and that, and you have counterparts, and it really has fun with that, right? So just a really good theme and story there. But moving on, the gameplay itself is really phenomenal. It's super smooth, but I haven't played a Ratchet and Clank game that wasn't that smooth. But this did bring it to that next level of smooth gameplay. And I'm not talking about just walking around. I'm talking about new abilities with your dashing. You have your new dimensional rift pull part through, and that really showcases the hardware itself where there's no loading. You're not waiting from false animations to happen for you to get from section to section. It's right there. Things are happening right there. It's something else. It's phenomenal. It's great. It's great. It's great. It's great. I just can't overstate that enough. And another thing that brings us to another level is ultimately the weapons itself. The weapons are, at first I was like, oh, I only have the wheel. I guess whatever, I'm getting these kind of quick. Well, no, you have basically like 3 sets of weapon wheels that you can mess with. And then you get even more in the New Game Plus with the Omega weapons. You can upgrade them more, buy them to the next, nature of leveling up and such like that. So that's phenomenal. But yeah, the weapons itself is great. It improves upon some past weapons, of course, and then introduces a bunch of new ones that are just super, super fun. You get your classic, almost like Mr. Zircon, but they're misfungals. You get the robot dogs that can attack for you. You got the glove bombs. You got the blaster. You've got the destructor, shotgun type of stuff. You got huge lasers. You got shields that can blast. You have an interdimensional rhino deal that pulls up weapons from other dimensions and drops them onto the enemies. I mean, the amount of stuff that you could do is just phenomenal. And like I said, the DualSense brings everything, the gameplay and the weapons, to life. The immersion is amazing. I'm not joking. I mean, if anybody, I've already expressed my opinion on the DualSense before. This controller is just so, so good. The fact that it just really, the haptic feedback and the rumbling and the motors just pinpricking the footprints to the weapons and how you pull, and you don't get this experience anywhere else as far as a controller is concerned. You just don't. So it's just phenomenal. All around in that package is great. So just really great. So going over that as well. So really phenomenal gameplay, story, weapons, you name it. We did get through that. I will tell you, I did finally beat it, and this is with doing a lot of things. And I'll include the hours for getting the plat. If with me getting the plat and a couple things I must have missed, so I did have to go back a little bit. So depending on how nuanced you are, if you are following a guide right away, it might be a little bit shorter, but I did fall short of 16 hours to get the platinum. And so you may say, that's not a lot of time for a $70 game, but what it brings to the package and the experience you get, it doesn't mean you have to stop playing it. Just because you get the platinum doesn't mean you don't have to play this ever again. If you love a game, and we'll take Nintendo for an example, there are no trophies on the Nintendo system or ecosystem. But you go back, even though you've done just about everything, or you've collected everything in Mario Odyssey, or you've done everything you think you could possibly do in Breath of the Wild, which, good luck if you did that. Then that means you're a true fan. But you get the platformers. We'll take any platformer, for instance, and just because you've done or unlocked everything doesn't mean you're done and you don't want to play this at another future time. You do. So the game is totally worth it. I understand if somebody doesn't have $70, that is a high asking point regardless. And this will, of course, eventually go on sale. And if that's the case, great. But I do feel like this does warrant that next-gen $70 fill. I really do. I wouldn't say that if I was being honest. I'm not trying to throw you on a loop or sell you a shill or anything like that. It truly is worth that. So in my opinion, it truly, truly is. So the replayability, once you do that, you do have the New Game Plus. You come with all your weapons, your bolts, which is your money and currency, your level and all that too. You can also up the difficulty if you want. You have a bunch of different options to mess around with. You do have different visibility things, black and white, monochrome, stuff like that. So there's unlockable cheats once you get the golden bolts, where you have infinite ammo if you wanted infinite life, stuff like that. Just a lot of cool different things that you can do to just kind of keep that gameplay really fresh. But it just has so much to offer, folks. It really does. But as a package, this game is just about near perfect, if not perfect. I know in a lot of my my Let's Plays, I did say this game is a 10 out of 10. Easily, hands down. I wasn't done playing the game, but I was like, it's not going to be bad. This game is a 10 out of 10. But, like I said, I like to marinate on stuff and have the full package, and I even played some of the New Game Plus as well. So I am going to end this video with a score for everybody. I'm going to score it out of a 10. Whatever out of a 10. So after a lot of thinking, I am ultimately going to give Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart a 9 out of 10. And I know I said 10 out of 10 earlier in my previous Let's Plays, like I just mentioned, but I wanted that to marinate. What did I come away with? And you're right, the game is pretty much flawless. I'm being very, very, nitpicky with this, I guess I would say. And me being nitpicky is, yes, I would have liked to have seen this extended by at least another 4 hours, or have possibly some online multiplayer options, or, just a little bit of something else, just to give that tip of the top. It's really hard for me. I don't want to be like 9.5 or 9.8 and get into the schematics that way. I think that's getting too into it. And I think that there's too much room for opinion when it comes to that. So this is a very solid, and anything that's a 9 out of 10 is a phenomenal game. It takes a lot to me to have a game warrant a 10 out of 10, and I'll touch on that in a future video. But marinating on it, just nitpicky things, and there was just 2 little super minor bugs, and one of those, the game didn't crash for me at all, just an FYI, but one of those bugs were, and I did confirm this with a couple other players that played the game as well, and by a couple I mean a few, and what happened is you have your weapon wheel, and when you're selecting your weapon wheel and in real time, sometimes it's not selecting it to the weapon you choose, sometimes it's a different weapon, or sometimes it didn't select at all. Now, this did happen to me probably a handful of times, and by a handful of times, I mean about 5 times. It hasn't done it ever since, and there was another patch or 2 even after that. So maybe that kind of sealed the deal and kind of fixed that bug, as well as a couple others, but really, it was pretty good, and there was just a couple other nuances that kind of dinged it for me as well, on top of the other 2 mentions that I just said before. But the map, sometimes I wanted to really go exploring or looking, or thought something was hidden in a certain area, and so I would do some crazy tricks and gliding and bumps and this and that to get over to these particular areas. Well, there's nothing there. There's absolutely nothing there. And when there's nothing there, it's outside of the map, so it's in the black part, and you're like, okay, I'm outside the map, my bad. So I'm out there, and what happens is you get out there and you look and you finally realize, okay, there's nothing here. I'm in the black part of the map, and it's pretty substantial how much is in the black. You're like, I almost wonder if they wanted to make the maps bigger, and they didn't because they ran out of time and just wanted to shore things up. But anyway, so you're on these parts, and then like, okay, there's water there. You're not allowed to go in the water. And so you're like, how do I get back? So you try everything to try to get back to the part you're supposed to be at, and you can't, and you die, and there's no, negative to actually dying. You don't lose bolts, you don't lose levels, you don't lose anything, so it's really nothing to go off of there, but really what happens is you die, and eventually it puts you in a spot where you should be, but it takes a few times. So I just feel like there's just a little few things they could have shored up to make this like, hey, and I know that's super nitpicky, but the biggest one is just I wanted a little bit more replayability as far as getting more, because I unlocked everything in that 16 hours. And then, like I said, just a few irritating bugs, and me being a trophy hunter, there was 2 different trophies that were kind of a pain, and one of those was just killing too many Grunthors, which is these giant dinosaur T-Rexy alien-looking things. I know I killed 5 of them. It didn't register that, so I had to go through the New Game Plus to kill 2 more. I had to get far enough in the store to get 2 more. When I was like, okay, I'm good. I got everything. Had to do that. And then you have the Shield Blaster, which is a great gun. It's fantastic, but you have to level up every gun to level 5. and this one in particular, you don't have to every weapon, but this one in particular, so you can get this shield. It changes the name of the guns, and they have different abilities. So ultimately, this gun, you have it goes to your shield, and then you have to shoot the projectiles, get shot at you back, and hit the enemy with them and kill them with that projectile. Well, the problem was with that is when you upgrade this gun, which is what I was doing, and pretty much close to the max, its spread and longevity for just firing the shield blast alone without the projectiles was so massive that trying to shoot those back at the enemies was very difficult and very hard with the accuracy trying to hit those. So that took an exceptionally long time for me to try and do in the arena section. But that's how I had that there. So that's, you know, with little nitpicks that kind of add up, I have to bring it down to a 9 because of everything that I mentioned. But 9 out of 10 is super solid. I really feel without a shadow of a doubt, this should be a 10 out of 10. Even with those nitpickies, things aside, nitpickies, this game should be a 10 out of 10. I feel bad even giving it a 9 out of 10. I don't feel like anybody's pressuring me to give it a 9 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. But I do feel, in my humble opinion, and many years of gaming, and me getting the platinum on this game, that it does deserve a 9 out of 10, which is nothing to scoff at. The game is a masterpiece. The game is a must-have, a game is a must-own, and a must-play. So definitely try it out if you have the means to, or in the future when you do get your hands on a PlayStation 5. For those of you that are unfortunately still can't wrap one down, and sorry about that. So hopefully that changes in the future, and hopefully this we find out some new schematics to try and stop these scalpers from doing that sort of stuff. And that goes for all consoles out there. So thank you for hanging around. I know this was a little bit longer of a video, but this is my first review. I know I could have probably shored this up a little bit, but I just really wanted to give my thoughts and opinions and give something a little different than just paragraph, 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 paragraph. We're done. Here's the score. So I just wanted to give something a little more personable, but let me know what you think of this type of review. If you'd like to see more from me, or would you like me to write some stuff down and do a script for a simple review for future games? Let me know. I'm happy to do either one because I think I'm good at the writing aspect of it as well. So if you don't want it as personable and you want it more written and maybe a short 10, 11 minute video max for these reviews, let me know. If you're fine with these types of reviews, let me know. I'm always open for feedback and some changes as well in regards to that. So thank you again. Hopefully everybody out there enjoyed this review, and we'll see you next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And until then, take care.